You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Most writers and radio show hosts know that to connect with your fans, you need to do more than just write books or record the latest podcasts. There are many different elements that go into forming an online platform, but there are also many hidden traps. To make matters worse, solid advice on how to survive the muddy waters is scarce. In the book Hidden Traps, I talk about some of the important issues of working with an online platform, highlighting traps that could put your physical or internet security at risk or be harmful to your reputation. Are your social media posts just links with a few disjointed words, making you look like someone who can't complete a sentence? Did your new website cost you more than you anticipated? Are you leaking your personal contact details across the web without even knowing it? Then you need Hidden Traps. Hidden Traps is now available in paperback and ebook from a variety of retailers, including Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Kobo. Visit blackwolfpublications.com for more details.
Do you need a car? Been shopping only to be turned down because of bad credit, low credit, no credit, bankruptcy, or divorce? Guess what? Today's your lucky day, because now you can buy a car, truck, or SUV, just about any vehicle. It's true. Bad credit doesn't matter. No credit doesn't matter. Bankruptcy or divorce, it just doesn't matter. As a matter of fact, your job is your ticket to your new vehicle. We're Auto Credit Express, and we've helped thousands of people just like you. Antonio H. told us, great company, got me connected, and the day I went in, I drove off in the car I wanted. 100% worth your time. Need a car? Get started now and drive off as early as today. Just text FINANCE, FINANCE, to 357-911 right now to get started. That's FINANCE, FINANCE, to 357-911. Auto financing the easy way. Text FINANCE to 357-911.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Everyone loves liberty. Our rights come from God, not the government. So why are you letting other people tell you what's best for your healthcare? Exercise your freedom with Liberty Health Share. Liberty Health Share is a community of people who voluntarily share one another's medical costs. Liberty Health Share is founded on the idea that most people truly want to help one another. Healthcare sharing allows members to do just that as a true community that supports one another in times of need. Liberty believes people should make decisions for themselves and their families. Members are able to take back the freedom to make their own decisions about their healthcare. Freedom from guilt or doubt about how your money is used. You have the freedom to direct your healthcare, not to be dictated to by bureaucrats. Stop letting others tell you what to do and join a community of like-minded people. Exercise your freedom. Join Liberty Health Share and take back the control of your healthcare while helping those around you. Call Liberty at 855-58-LIBERTY. Again, that's 855-58-LIBERTY for more information, or you can check them out at libertyhealthshare.org. Again, that's libertyhealthshare.org.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now. 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
At St. Jude, a family never sees a bill at all. It's like the world has been lifted off of your shoulders.
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
Sometimes writers feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. The takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
Good evening, everybody. It is Monday, January 7th, 2019. The first time I've actually said that aloud. And welcome to For Immediate Release. I'm Bill O'Reilly. I'm here with my co-host, Liz Neuer-Feld. And we're delighted to have you. It's a big night if you're a college football fan. There's a game that's going to kick off at 8 Eastern. We're actually taping a little bit early, so if we make predictions, they're really predictions. How are you, Liz? Everything well with you tonight?
I am great. Happy New Year to you. I'm glad we had a chance to see each other in person the other day.
That was nice.
To launch the New Year was really, we never get to do that.
Yeah, we drink more coffee than humanly possible.
Yeah. And you had your St. Patrick's Day green on already. You're ready to go. You're moving forward.
I'm ready to go. How are you doing?
I'm great. I just saw the White House confirming that the tax refunds are going out despite the shutdown. Of course, I'm not getting one this year, so, you know.
It doesn't matter what I do. I never get a tax refund. I'm always, expecting like the kid with the nose against the bakery window, and then it's, you owe us money. So,
that's it. I can't remember the last time I got a refund, and I never get a refund in New York State. That's for sure.
Oh, that's for sure. But who knows? Unless you're really smart and figured out what the new tax code does for you, who knows what happens? I mean, we'll just see. I assume it's going to be some bad news someplace.
Well, if we pay attention to our freshman congresswoman, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, we're going to be up at 70%, marginal, of course. So make sure we all understand that, right? For every dollar above $10 million. The fact that we're debating that already makes me nervous. Not that I'm going to be anywhere close to $10 million, but you know where that's headed.
Like when did no offense to her, but when did 20-some-odd-year-olds get to define the agenda in America? I guess 2019. It's just you just throw out these numbers like a 70% marginal rate, and let's have that conversation. It is ridiculous. And
then have to have all the Democrats defend it. And we discussed this a bit last week, but there's no question that she's giving fits to her caucus, fits to the leadership and the caucus. I mean, a 60 Minutes interview, which some people wait their whole lives for and never get. She got right out of the gate, and she's making these sweeping policy declarations with very little to back them up. And now all of her colleagues are having to address it and defend them. So this is going to be an interesting year, that's for sure.
It's going to be interesting. I mean, there's part of me as a press person that always kind of roots for or tips the cap to somebody who's able to make a lot of noise with nothing. But she's really bluffed her way into the big leagues. I mean, the 60-minute profile, you're right. You could go a whole lifetime and not even, be able to leave the message on the answer machine. And she launches with it. It's pretty amazing. But they played that video. You saw the video with her dancing in college? That was just ridiculous. Did you catch that, Liz? Come on. I did watch it. Nobody complained about that. It's like pure setup. But, it was pretty well set up until somebody called bluff, and then it kind of went away.
Yeah, and then she's already in Twitter wars with people over a number of topics. It'll be interesting to see how long this honeymoon lasts. I think it's already waning, although she does have 2 million Twitter followers already. And that's stunning.
Yeah, that's just power. That's really incredible. And I mean, just out of nowhere. I mean, she's not even from the Bronx, but she's played this routine up very, very well. And let's see what she does with it. And anyone who's not from New York, Yorktown is kind of a classic, traditionally Republican, conservative suburban community about an hour north of the city, 45 minutes north of the city. So it's hardly El Barrio. But anyway, we'll see what she does.
It's interesting. I mean, Nancy Pelosi's been very disciplined in her messaging. as you know, months ago, she instructed all of her colleagues to not talk about impeachment, to not run on impeachment. And right out of the gate, one of her other freshwoman representatives called for impeachment with the MF word right in front of it. So we're going to have quite a circus going on down there over the next couple of months.
There's no question. And Ocasio-Cortez was, apparently polite on the 60 Minutes interview, saying I'm one of a larger party. And, she did the right talking points on that. And I'm sure she was fed a few. But there's not going to be a lot of patience. And I think that's what this young generation coming up, they're used to making noise in social media. And there's no patience in that. That's just put out there what you think this very moment. And you're right, Liz. That's going to be really interesting within a conference that used to be disciplined. I don't know how they hold that back.
What do you make of the idea that there should be at least some humility and some listening when you join, or actually any elected official? I mean, great leadership, one of the hallmarks of great leadership is being not just an orator, but a good listener. And, putting aside policy differences, I find that that's really lacking with, not just with her, but with some of her new colleagues, that they really think they know everything. They think because they went door to door and talked to angry constituents that they are the experts on what people need and want, and they've come barging in. Really, I haven't gotten the sense at all that never mind consensus or collegiality, but where's the listening? You're 29 years old. You got a lot. We all have a lot to learn.
Yeah. You just reminded me. You told me to watch a very good show that I finished watching in about 2 days. I stayed up till 3 a.m. What was it? The Prison Break in New York. I always want to say Connemara, but that's the place in Ireland.
No, Escape at Dannemora. Yeah.
Escape at Dannemora, right? Exactly. Which was really big news in New York when a couple of people escaped. And I guess Patricia Arquette just won a Best Actress in the Golden Globes for that. But you just reminded me of my favorite line in that entire series, where Benicio del Toro is trying to teach Paul Dano, the actors. He's giving them art tips, and the younger guy submits something to the older guy who's quite a good and accomplished painter, and he says there's no light, and he goes, well, I meant to do it that way, and he goes, no, don't do that. You get the basics down first. Don't pretend that you're doing something, because you made a mistake, you're going to make it sound like it was intentional. He said, get the basics down. Then if you want to go disco. Although Benicio del Toro delivers that line better, And that's right. But you got to have your blue period down in anything. And at 29, you can't wander into or you can, but it's not going to play out well in the long term. I mean, it typically doesn't. I mean, you're right. There's got to be some room for listening.
She's got plenty to learn. Like I said, we all do. And that doesn't mean you get along to go along or go along to get along and all of that. But, you're not the expert. You just have strong opinions. But she's really come out, and like I said, she's giving her caucus fits. I wonder how many folks are really on her side. I mean, listen, she swayed this whole, all the support for this Green New Deal. But, or I don't know, she started it, but she certainly has been the greatest influencer in getting her colleagues lined up behind it. But I don't know what kind of staying power she's going to have. And like I said, I think Nancy Pelosi's got to be spending a lot of time figuring out how she's going to manage this.
Yeah, and also, but if it gets out of control, and if one of the young members is really off the reservation, Nancy Pelosi and some other old pros in the House know exactly how to take people down.
Yes, they do. Yes,
they do. They may be all smiles, but Washington. Yeah, I mean, they know exactly how to put it in your back, and you disappear, and no one ever sees you again, ever. So it's
so true.
That's what you need to learn when you're 29. That the older people really know how to take you out. You know what? I like that he did it in that, it was something that has to be said and someone needs to represent that viewpoint. But then he seemed to back right off of it, which I thought was too bad, at least his demeanor. And I always wish Romney, I was never really a Romney guy. I know you like Romney, I believe. And I like him, but he's never as forceful enough as I want him to be. Where he'll go in and he'll move back and it'll seem like he's retreating. And I thought if you're going to make that point, stick with it, stand with it, and don't back down, dig in their heels. But that's my take.
Do you think he got a lot of private or quiet flack from his new Senate colleagues?
I don't know. I mean, I think a lot of his Senate colleagues agree with him. You know, they were never Trump fans in the beginning. You know, he was the 17th choice in the 17th field primary for most of them. But, you know, there's that loyalty thing when you work in any party, whether, you know, Republican or Democrat. It's loyalty is everything, and you never talk outside of school, and you always talk, you know, walk the party line. And, you know, you could say whatever you want in conference, but as soon as you walk outside the doors, you know, it's supposed to be one message. And so I think he probably got that kind of grief, you know, from some of his colleagues. But I suspect a lot of them are sympathetic and just didn't have the stones to say what he did. But, you know.
So why do you think he backed off?
I think he got nervous. You really have to own that stuff. You know, like, you know, you go out in politics and you make a charge. The worst thing you could do is back off of it. You know,
exactly.
You got to just dig you got to just like plant those feet. And, yes, that's exactly what I said. And stand with it. And it's not comfortable and it's hard to endure. I mean, whether people like what Romney said or not, whether listeners like it or not, when you go out there with something, you stick with it. You stand with it. And, but he doesn't seem to do that. And, you know, the next time he makes a strong stance, it's not going to be taken as seriously, I think. So, Liz, did you see the proposal going on in New York City right now about Barack Obama
Tell
Way?
me all about it. Tell me all about it.
So MoveOn.org. I guess we're familiar with MoveOn.org. It was the organization that, what did they call for the firing of who was the military commander, Petraeus once.
Yes, they did. Yeah. And then Michael Moore and George Soros, yes.
Yeah, all that whole crowd. Well, MoveOn.org has collected thousands of signatures to rename a large section of Fifth Avenue Barack Obama Way because Trump Tower happens to stand on it. And they are now going to submit the signatures to the city council, and there'll be some sponsor there, and then the city council can decide on it, and then Mayor de Blasio can vote up or down on what to do. It is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Oh, like Barack Obama has nothing to do with New York. He went to Columbia for about 5 minutes, but it's talk about just like knee-jerk, you know, kind of reactive stuff. I mean, that's just stupid.
And does it look like it's going to go through? Has this been brewing for a while quietly? And
I just saw it today. They announced the number of signatures, and the signatures there was a massive amount of signatures, and apparently they are going to submit it to the city council. But, you know, in New York, if you're a Democrat and if you're a liberal Democrat, they love to name things for you. I mean, we now have the Mario Cuomo Bridge, we have the RSK Bridge, the Ed Koch Bridge, the JFK Airport, they love to name things for themselves, but I think New Yorkers would go ballistic, even though it is a 6-1 Democratic town, to try and throw Barack Obama's name on Fifth Avenue. I mean, good Lord, you know, talk about, counter message, you know what I mean? It's the stretch of Fifth Avenue where the 1%, and I hate that expression, that Barack Obama loves to rail against, you know, sells its best stuff.
And I can't imagine he wants to be part of anything near Trump built. He wants, if they're going to name streets after him, or blocks, that's not him at all. In addition to what you just said about the 1%, he doesn't want to be associated with the Trump Tower, period, I would imagine.
Yeah, you're gonna hit Tiffany and then Bendel and then Prada, you know, on Barack Obama Way. You know,
yeah. That's ridiculous. Well, I might like it. No, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, but that's what they're talking about. That's what they're talking about.
When's the vote?
They're just doing the signatures now, and then they'll find city council members to sponsor it, and they definitely will because somebody's always looking to make a headline. And then it'll be up to the council speaker to decide whether it goes onto the floor, and that's an easy thing to cave on. I think it would basically be the outer boroughs versus, you know, the outer boroughs would probably go bananas, but it's the kind of stuff that, that a runaway New York City council can actually do. And they pass some real doozies. But, you know, I'm not sure if they go forward with this one, but it gives you an idea of where the world is. It was just nuts. How do you think the shutdown's turning out for all sides, Liz?
I think now it's not turning out well for anybody. But it's interesting now. Obviously, we know now the president's going to give a speech tomorrow night. It's his first speech as president from the Oval Office. It's an informal address from the Oval Office about the national emergency that justifies his the talk around sending troops down to the border to build the wall, have our own troops build the wall themselves. I think that a week from now, it's going to be a lot worse. Well, people are going to start to really feel it and talk about it. I still think that it's really affecting. I haven't heard one person in my office talk about it. Let's put it that way. Have you? No one at work.
No. I mean, we're not in real government towns. So no, I don't, I mean, other than just in the theoretical, but no one's running and screaming. I haven't been to an airport to see what the lines are like. But, and I'm curious to see whether the networks pick up his address. And I guess they're deciding that now. I think they should. It's the President of the United States. They don't always do it, and they turned down, remember, George W. Bush a couple of times. But,
and
I think
they turned
down
Obama when Obama wanted to talk about, immigration reform, they turned him down. Now, this is a bit different, but because this comes, with the shutdown, it's not just talking about the policy issue. He's doing it from the Oval Office as a formal address.
Right. Then you go for the ratings.
I thought CNN agreed to do it. As soon as one of them's going to do it, one agrees to do it, they all do it because no one wants to lose the ratings opportunity, right?
Right.
So
that's right. Yeah.
I think the House of Cards has started to fall.
Yeah, I gotta say, I think the Democrats are making a major mistake on the messaging on the border stuff. I don't think they're doing a good job of it. The senators are going to get hurt, over time. At this point, if government opens tomorrow, no harm, no foul, really. But if it went on to a really extended period of time, people, the senators, members of the House, Republicans, they're going to get antsy, certainly, and the Democrats too, but I think Republicans more. Trump, it doesn't really matter that much to Trump, and his message is pretty clear. I think he should shift to more than a wall and start to broaden the message into border security generally and an immigration system. But the Democrats really have fallen into the trap, I think, where it sounds like they don't want to address the border. And I think that's a real mistake. I think they lose on that in a big way. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be really myopic here, but it's no money for a wall. They're saying that rather than in a concise way saying money should be better spent on X, Y, and Z to secure the border.
Yeah, he beat them to that. He beat them on the messaging right from the get-go. Get-go.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, you're still got the people howling against him, but he doesn't lose his base. And, Bill Kristol is making the point that base is really important because it potentially keeps members of the Senate in his camp for if there was an impeachment. He wants to have enough heads in the Senate not to convict, but he keeps that base going with this, which is a pretty clever play if he's thinking that far ahead. But yeah, I think the messaging war he's winning. I think he'll win it tomorrow night too.
Do you know exactly what's on the table right now in these negotiations? I mean, where DACA stands in the give and take, and because I thought the president said that he would give on, that he was prepared to make a deal on that. So and which supports your point. The Democrats have said no wall and nothing else. Trump's come forward and at least said a wall plus. Yeah,
and Trump is not saying I'll take steel slats or whatever, and his base doesn't care whether it's concrete or steel. They couldn't care less. Whatever he tells them is going to be fine. You know what I mean?
I'll take porcupines.
He'll say we won. And Mexico did pay for it, and it'll be enough to, which is, however fabricated that is, it'll be enough to get him through it. But if they think that something significant happened down on the border, he wins. But it sounds to me like neither side is really being serious yet. I mean, they're saying they feel the heat, but they could resolve this pretty quickly. But they keep digging in, and they're digging in because it's good for each side. They get something out of that dig. But someone's going to cave eventually. And I assume, logically, there'll be some middle amount of money. The Democrats will let Trump claim that steel slots are a wall, which is fine. And then we'll see what they'll accept, whether it's DACA or what it is. But, if he were to shut the government down and it succeeded, and we got E-Verify and all kinds of, drones and steel slots and the rest of it, that would be a big winner for him. But if it goes nowhere, then it's obviously a total waste of time.
Well, what do you think could force him, if anything, to actually cave on the wall? I mean, is there any particular element to either immigration reform on something else? Yeah, what's he going to trade? I think he's put all his chips on the wall.
He had put all his chips on the wall. And it's so funny because it's true. I met with, I was on a show with one of his early staffers a couple of years ago, and he's now talking about it publicly, but the way that wall came about which a lot of people probably know, is that this guy was trying to keep Trump on message, he and Roger Stone, and they came up with the wall as a way for him to keep talking about border security, because he was a builder and he likes to build big things. And so, but this wall, you're right, he's now, everything is on that wall that they just made up over drinks. And so he may as well go with it. At this point, he may as well go with it. I would think if there was going to be a shutdown, it should be over the national debt. I mean, we're about to hit $22 trillion. I'd be willing to shut down the government for that. But
I would too. Absolutely. And I think a lot of other Republicans might be too, although the Republicans are to blame, as we've discussed many times. But I agree with you about that. I agree.
But I think, like, if you were writing the message for the president for tomorrow night, I think there's a way to do it that could be incredibly effective to Trump and incredibly damaging to Democrats. If you really were to play out the notion that Democrats aren't serious about border security, and to cite a lot of what they've said about open borders and attacking ICE agents and the rest of it, like, if he really did it well and stayed on script, I think he could come out with a pretty good win. If he goes on there and does a Donald Trump and wanders, back and forth and throws out some insults that ends up being all that's covered, then it won't be as effective. But we'll see,
We'll see. Do you look at old clips from the last time we had a major congressional consideration of immigration reform and border security? Because I just saw a clip of Senator Schumer, which was incredible. Actually, it could have been Marco Rubio if he would just change the face. Back from 4 or 5 years. Well, when was the Gang of 14 or the Gang of 8?
The Gang of, which gang was that? Exactly.
I mean, Schumer was reading verbatim from notes. It wasn't like he spoke off the cuff.
We want a wall, we want this, we
want a wall, we want all of it. It's good.
Yeah.
Maybe he's been a lot quieter than Nancy Pelosi on this issue, so maybe that's why.
It's incredible how much the Democratic Party has shifted on this, though. I mean, it's in just 10 years. I mean, it just, I know that's a lot of legwork by groups like La Raza and others and Soros groups, Soros groups, excuse me. But it's incredible, and I think it's a real vulnerability to them. But we'll see how it plays out.
Your neighbors talk. I mean, so here we are in New York State. How much discussion is there in your neighborhood about border security?
There's actually a fair amount of discussion, because my town has it's a small town, 10,000 people, has had a massive influx from Central America of mostly undocumented immigrants in the last 15 years, to the point where the elementary school in our district was 1% or something Spanish language to about 75% within 10 or 15 years. Like this massive, and their neighbors or friends. We get to know people, and they go to school with our children and all the rest of it. But it's had a big effect on budgets, on real estate values, and on a lot of things. It has an effect. And so, people do talk about it. They don't talk about the border. They don't talk about the government shutdown. But sure, they talk about the immigration issue. And a lot of people are fairly liberal here. It's a liberal area, but they want, from what I can tell, most people want a working system, and some would be for instant road to citizenship. Others, probably different ideas. But I think everybody wants to get a workable plan going, and that's more than a border wall. I mean, that's again like 60% of the undocumented in the country are illegals or visa jumpers. They come in by plane, by bus, by other means, and they overstay their visa. So a border wall will help, certainly, wherever the wall is put. Doesn't have to be, you see the shining sea, as they're saying, but there's a lot more involved. And I think, maybe if anything, this shutdown and this big, huge blow up could address some of those things. But I'm not sure I'm too optimistic.
So I was talking to a high school student yesterday from a private school in New York City, and he told me that in his history class and in his debate club and in school newspaper, there was nonstop talk about Trump. And I said, well, what about other issues specifically? Like, what are the hot topics of the day? And he said it's guns and immigration. I said, do you ever talk about the national debt? Do you talk about jobs and the economy? Never. Never, never, never. So it's interesting your point about the shutdown. I mean, if there were a shutdown over the debt, I wonder if anyone, what people would probably have to actually stop and think, God, no, what's this about? Is this my Social Security check? Is this my, we're talking national solvency here. What is it? But, Billy, from day one when we launched this program, we said we wanted to focus on crushing debt that is affecting not only us, but what's going to kill our kids and that whole generation if we don't fix it. Here we are. Nothing's happened. In the last 2 years, we've added $2 trillion to the debt. No one's even talking about it.
No one's even talking about it. It's so funny.
Everyone talks about Green Deal and, and border security, border security, and we don't even talk about infrastructure anymore.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, it's amazing. And then you have, Republicans have shown that they're not serious. And I think you could say it that strongly. They're not serious about the debt. If they were serious about the debt, we wouldn't have added $2 trillion in 2 years. But the Democrats are just out of control with the Ocasio-Cortez crowd, where they want just more free stuff for everybody, and that's bananas. I mean, maybe the higher taxes would offset some of it, but they're still going to be just spending massive amounts of money. But if you're going to do I was thinking of doing a column on the shutdown, if you're going to call a state of emergency, do it over the debt and talk about it.
Yeah.
In 2011,
as we've discussed.
Yeah, I mean, I'm saying in 2011, I remember I was doing a special election for a guy named Bob Turner, who was very big national news for about 4 minutes. And Bob was running for Anthony Weiner's vacant seat. Everyone remembers Anthony Weiner from New York. And Republican hadn't won the district in, since 1913 or 1923. And so Bob ended up winning it, but we ran a lot on debt, among other things. And I remember bringing in a couple of teenage daughters under the debt clock in New York City to do a press conference. And if I remember right, the debt was then at $11 trillion. And it's, that was 2011. It's now at 22. It's double that. And more people were talking about debt then than are now. It's crazy.
Well, and this gets to the point we've said for so long that, millions, billions, trillions, the average guy in the street has no idea what the difference is. And I'm telling you, if you did one of those man on the street interviews that, like Jay Leno used to do at 11:30, and I heard Jimmy Fallon does now. Hey, what do you think the national debt is? 5 million, 10 million, 20 million? People really have no idea because they really don't feel it day to day. They have no idea what it means to borrow all this money. And they don't connect that to the fact that we're not doing other big things in this country. That one of the biggest reasons we won't even begin to get to infrastructure is we don't have the cash. We don't have the money.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely right. And I think also there's a bit of an attitude of as long as I get mine, the hell with it.
Of course. So long as my Social Security check is arriving every day, that's right. That's why.
Right. And people also think that they think they're pulling out what they paid in, which is not true at all. I mean, everybody's getting a lot more than they paid into the systems, and it's just a fact.
Do you know any serious Democrats who actually support free college tuition?
Do I know any that support it?
Any serious Democrats? Serious,
Well, it passed. It passed in New York State, and the Republicans went for it in the state senate, which was madness. And this was free college tuition for middle class families. It was people making up to $125,000 a year, families. And they're getting free college tuition at state schools. It's bananas. I mean, first of all, it's destroying the small private colleges that can't compete now. But it's just nuts. I mean, somebody's paying for that. But so it went through in New York, but nobody I know from where I live thought it was a good idea because they just knew that their taxes are the highest in the country and it was going to make them worse, and they weren't going to get free tuition. And very few of them. And so no, but that's they're looking to go national and single payer, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, do you think it's going to be a part of the platform for Democratic candidates running in 2020?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think it's I'm surprised that Biden's making such a clear case. I think we talked about this last week, And Biden and Andrew Cuomo from New York, who have, you know, done a couple of races against, but I think he was very wise to back Biden early. Like nobody really gets in trouble in the party for backing Biden because he's so established. He could always switch off, but I'm thinking maybe Cuomo was looking for a VP spot. But you know, Biden's talking, you know, he's talking the right thing, that you need to be, the Democrats need somebody who's electable. And which means, you know, most of those things would come off the table, I would imagine. But there's no way with the Beto O'Rourke out there and everybody who I did see speak. I watched a couple of speeches. He is very good. With the message they're delivering, there's no way that doesn't become a major part of the conversation. All the free stuff. You know, even, you know, Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders were fighting for who could spend more money. It was just ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching.
I know.
Their speeches is incredible.
So, what do you think is going to happen with the Mueller? I know this is a ridiculous question, but so over the next month, well, Mueller got an extension for 6 months, I think, right, for the grand jury.
He got another 6 months.
It can't go on that much longer. It can't go on that much longer.
Right. I mean, I think if he needed an extension, it just happens to go 6 months. But I think we were joking last week that we were always saying I was always saying it's 6 weeks away, but it always seems to move. I mean, I think you know, it's coming down. You know, there's no question that Trump has been able to change the subject with the border stuff. But I don't know whether that just timed coincidentally with a lull in the Mueller announcements. But I suspect there's more coming out soon. You know, you think, and you know, you have Rachel Maddow out there, you know, with her, you know, talking her theories of Trump using talking points that are you know Putin created. So there's still talk out there, but you know, right now it's all border all shut down. So he doesn't know how to change the subject for a while. But I don't think anybody knows. You know, I don't think we know. You know, to Mueller's credit, you know, he's really kept a tight wrap on things. But I can't imagine that he wraps up by saying everything's fine, other than the indictments he's already made. Saying maybe we'll see. It'll sure be interesting. Do you have any take on? But I was going to ask you for a prediction of tonight's game, which by the time this airs will be almost over. It'll be probably late third quarter.
Who are you rooting for?
You know,
I was actually just getting over the last night's game. Did you watch the Bears-Eagles game? And the poor Bears kicker who missed literally at the end of 2 seconds to go.
I know. You feel so bad for.
You do.
My daughter became an Eagle. I used to hate the Eagles, and my daughter became an Eagles fan last year, so I was actually rooting for them, and I've always liked the Bears, although I'm actually a Packers fan. But that just kills you. I think Alabama's going to be too strong tonight. I think Clemson has a great defense, but Alabama's just they are a machine right now. But
I can't stand Alabama. I can't root for them. They win all the time. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm surrounded by actually a lot of Alabama folks here in Marshall, but also all over TV. Everyone roots for Alabama.
Like I told you, my World War II veteran father before he passed away would always say that if Alabama played Germany in the Cotton Bowl, he'd root for Germany.
No, that's so great.
Yeah, we always say I root for the Germans over Alabama. But actually, I kind of respect them. I like their coach. I like their quarterback a lot. You know, they have quite the operation. And you know, I went to the championship game with Notre Dame, Alabama in Florida a few years ago, and I got to say those Roll Tide fans were really impressive. Like they had their act together. They had their chants down. It was like, whoa, you know. No messing around down there.
Though, I mean, when you're from the Northeast, you have no idea what that's about. Auburn, Clemson, Alabama. Yeah, we aren't things like that.
That's right.
Go Bucknell.
Right. I'm not sure what we get excited about.
He went to Wisconsin, so you know we have a Big Ten team. So that was my introduction really to college sports was that, and it was wild. You know, you go to those fabulous Wisconsin football games, and 7:30 in the morning, the place is already packed. Everyone's got bratwurst and beer, and wearing cheese heads and running around. It really is fun. That is good. College sports. It's always big Midwestern schools or down south is a blast.
Not to go too far afield, but do you ever hear the story about the guy in the cheese head? True story that crashed in a plane. was about 20 years ago.
Please
20
keep
years
going.
ago. 20 years ago, a guy crashed in a field, and he survived because he was wearing a cheese head. And I said this as a Packers fan. He had a cheese head on, and it cushioned his fall, and he had a concussion, but he didn't die. It's pretty good story.
I missed that. That's a great story. That's a great story.
It'll be.
I don't. But
I was just saying, I'm gonna miss college football because to me it's just the best sport in the world. It's just it's so exciting because people more things can go wrong in a college football game. The pros are a little bit overly honed, I think, but just the spirit of it and the student bodies and the excitement. I don't think there's anything like it. And I'll watch the game tonight, but I'll be jonesing for the next 9 months until it starts again. It's such a great sport.
well, and there's much higher scoring in the college. A lot of these professional games of the weekend were really low scoring.
That's right. No, absolutely right.
How do you feel about college basketball? Do you get absorbed by March Madness?
I wait until then. I used to watch more of it, but I haven't really. I mean, I'll check every once a month to find out where everybody is and try and just so I can, if I'm on a bus, I can sound intelligent if someone asks me something. But I'll wait till March Madness and then jump in, just because it's just a lot of effort.
It's so much fun.
It's so much fun though. It's really exciting. It's really exciting stuff. Yeah. But I was talking about March Madness.
On a unrelated note, I was watching a series. So I moved on from Escape to Dannemora, and my daughter suggested that I watch Active Shooter. Have you heard about this?
I've heard about it, but I haven't seen it. Netflix?
So it's a Showtime series. I think I'm in episode 6. Each episode is about an hour, documentary style, on some of the different mass shootings in America over the last 10 years. It started with Aurora, and they did San Bernardino, California, and Charleston, South Carolina, the Navy Yard shooting in Washington, Pulse Club in Orlando, and I'm just about to get to Santa Monica, California. But I'll tell you,
so it's an uplifting series.
The reason it's so compelling that people should watch it, it's not preachy about guns and gun violence. They're the human stories behind the victims, the families, the police, and the police work that was done. And listen, obviously they're the profiles of the shooters, but it's really much more just about what these incidents, these events actually were like, and you get completely absorbed as if you're living them in real time. They're very important. They're worth watching for no matter what your position is on guns and AK access, the assault.
And Second Amendment people aren't in favor of school shootings.
No, you gotta watch it. This is about humanity. It is very, very well done. So it's on
it's called Active Shooter. I've heard of it, but I hadn't seen it.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll take a look at it. It is unreal how these things can touch communities out of the blue. In the Florida one, the terrible one in Florida, my youngest daughter's best friend from where we live moved down to Florida with her family a year before, and her brother was in the school. She was in the elementary school next door, the middle school. And as it was going on, she was texting my daughter in the house, and my daughter was telling me what was going on. She was saying, she's saying that she hears shots, and I didn't know what it was. I was kind of ignoring it. And she was reporting by text message what was happening. Fortunately, they survived. But I'll take a look at it. If you say so, because you were right about the Dannemora. That was very well done.
Well, I get my tips from relatives. But you listen, part of this is about mental illness and mental health and the lack of access to care and how isolated, deranged these shooters are. But also, it is another stark reminder that we gloss past these major incidents. 1 a week, 2 months, each headline was, biggest in history, and then 2 months later, it's biggest in history. But there's real work being done on the ground, certainly by the police, but really the fundamental practices now that are part of everyday life, active shooter drills at every school, and that's the YMCA's and stuff. You think, God, is this really what it's all about now? Has it come to this? But it has.
Right. And
but
the kids know the
stories behind the victims are really, they're very compelling and not gratuitous. Believe me, I know you. I know what you wouldn't watch. I recommend it to everybody.
Yeah, I mean, but the drills when we were kids, when you go under the desk for the Soviets, but there wasn't any example of the Soviets, bombing us at that point. these kids have all seen 10, 12, 14 shootings on television, more than that.
Yeah.
And it gets really real. And I don't know what the damage is going to be to that generation, but it definitely has to take a toll.
No,
you think about, the Las Vegas shooting. I mean, but those things were 3 or 4 day stories and they move on, maximum. Some of them are 1 day stories, 2 day stories.
Yep.
And, then something else happens and we're following, a whole different line. Liz, what's your take on the odds of a real Republican challenger to Donald Trump in 2017? It's 2019.
Well, when you say real, you mean someone like John Kasich?
Yeah, like a real. Do you think he gets a Republican challenge or a good third party challenge?
I've never thought, and I think you know this. We've talked about it. I'm not sure that Trump's going to run again, and I said that from day one, not as long before all this stuff that's gone on. For a number of reasons, I think he accomplished his objective by beating Hillary and by winning. He validated the voice of millions of people who wanted, who wanted to disrupt the status quo, who were angry, who were responding to decades really, not just Obama era stuff, but decades of feeling marginalized. So I think he accomplished that, and I don't know what he'd really want to get done in a second term. So I'm not convinced he's going to run. I'm not saying he's going to surrender. I don't think he's going to resign, but I'm just not sure he's going to run. I'll tell you this: I think if Mike Pence runs and if Trump doesn't run, there's going to be a wide open primary of a lot of candidates.
Agreed.
So
yeah.
What I say. I don't think there is a viable Republican alternative to Trump in the primary. If he decides he's running, then I don't think anyway. What do you think?
I'm not really sure. I mean, I could see him not running. I could see him resigning under pressure from Mueller if things were real, if things were Russia related, if there was a Russia connection. If any of the Russia stuff is measurably real, alteration of U.S. policy as a result of that relationship, then that would be, I think, fatal to
resigning because he's impeached, or resigning because he just doesn't want to face the impeachment?
I think either resigning under a deal with Mueller, or resigning because he doesn't want to face the impeachment. I could see that scenario if the goods are there. And then there's part of me that I was with you in the beginning thinking he's going to do one term, but then you think, well, of course he's going to run for re-election because how does he turn down the greatest reality show on the planet, of all times? But he might be wise to do it if he survives Mueller, if that's not as serious as some people think it will be, and he gets on board with things and the economy stays reasonably strong, why not check it after one? Why not? But he's certainly making all the moves to circle the wagons around the RNC. I mean, you have states like South Carolina that are canceling primaries. They're raising money. They've completely consumed the RNC to the point where, Romney's niece, who's the RNC chairwoman, attacked her own uncle publicly over his comments. I mean, he owns that RNC, lock, stock, and barrel. But I think there's going to be, a couple of serious third-party challenges out there. Whether it's Kasich, Bloomberg, if they decide not to run as Republicans and Democrats, or who knows? I mean, who knows who it'll be? But I think there's going to be somebody starting earlier than, say, Ed McMullen did last time. But we'll find out. That's all.
I thought Bloomberg said he was going to run as a Democrat if he ran. I thought
he is running as a Democrat. And he says he's not going to run as an independent. But you got to wonder whether if he doesn't get, if it looks like he's not going to get the Democratic primary, whether he changes his mind very suddenly. And same with Kasich. I mean, they're both well-known figures. Bloomberg certainly has all the money in the world if he needs it. And if there's a scenario, I don't know why they wouldn't flip on it. Why they wouldn't, switch on what they're saying. It happens all the time. But we'll have to. I mean, it's all going to be Mueller, and until it comes down, I don't know what more there is to say.
Well, I'll tell you this: the Democrats sure don't have a message. So if 2 months ago or maybe 3 months ago, I said if Trump ran today, he'd win, hands down. I think things have gotten more complicated than that, and we saw, certainly with the midterms, that's not necessarily the case. But I still don't see a cohesive, strong Democratic message that's going to carry the day on a national level for this candidate.
Not at all.
Not at all.
I mean, just like Hillary Clinton had no message. There was no message there.
Nope.
It was just, I'm not him, and there's some spending involved, but there's just no clear message. There's not. And to your point,
I mean, even beyond his base, let's just say even the broader Republican Party, obviously very satisfied with the judicial appointments. He's had 2 Supreme Court appointments, and he's likely going to have a third, if not a fourth. Right? The other than the fluctuations in the last couple of weeks on the stock market, the economy is strong. Look at the unemployment numbers. Look at the jobs.
Yes, job growth is good.
Wages. Yep. It's all good. It's all good. So he certainly can run on. I think is exactly the right one, which is depending upon what happens with Mueller, Trump could easily fend off any Republican primary candidate. I think the case it would be nuts to run against him. He's not going to get anywhere. It's nuts.
It would be tough, and once the party, once they wrap their arms around you, it's really difficult to buck that. I mean,
right.
Operatives can't move. I mean, it's pretty top down, as the Democrats found out with Hillary Clinton. No question.
But what can you just looking even just practically speaking at the calendar? At what point would any primary candidates, let's just say the Mueller report comes out and it's devastating, and Trump's got he's tied up for the next 6 months dealing with that. How much lead time do these Republicans need to get organized? This summer?
I think so. Yeah, I think summer. Probably at the. I mean, it depends. If it was someone that the party could get behind, like a Nikki Haley, that would, and if the party really controlled that other if it looked like Trump was going out, and they
right.
chose like a Nikki Haley, and they made it clear that she's the official candidate, they could raise a lot of money for her very quickly. So I think, under a scenario like that, you wouldn't need all the time in the world. But I think summer would be perfectly adequate. If it was, if it's 7 or 8 candidates popping in, that feels, I mean, late. It just, you have to go through the whole process. It's really, grueling, obviously, state by state. And then the infighting takes a long time. And there's already a lot of.
Has anyone even quietly started raising money? Do you know any Republicans who even quietly started raising? Well, no such thing as quietly raising money.
Not that I know of. I haven't seen Kasich filings, but not that I know of. Yeah, so it's definitely a big task to take on an incumbent, as well know. Hey, Liz, believe it or not, we're about out of time.
Oh gosh. Okay. All right.
And I was going to recommend to you whiskey and a hot toddy. For that.
Exactly. Thanks for your being so tolerant with my cold.
No, I hear it. Oh, it's killing me. I hear it.
But we'll be back next week. Healthy.
We'll be back next week. We'll be no closer to having the answers, but we'll keep speculating.
But we'll just keep speculating. Change the name of the show.
That's right.
Immediate speculation.
Anyway, thanks everybody for listening. Feel better, Liz.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Well, now wait a minute. I'm talking about America, sweet America. God done shed his grace on thee. He crowned our good. Yes, he did. Heavy brotherhood from sea